Hello, and welcome to Draw With Me. I'm Danny Gregory, and every Thursday we get together. We spend 45 minutes, half an hour hanging out and drawing for some of it, chatting, I don't know, doing preposterous things. We'll see. I see a lot of folks here. One of them is not JJ. She is not here today. She is on the road driving back from New Mexico. But you're here and I'm here. And I'm also joined by two dogs, not just Twiglet, but her cousin dog named Luna. So let me just quickly tell you what we're going to do today. So we're going to work on some quotes today about gratitude. It sounds a little, I don't know, like some sort of meditation workshop. It's nothing like that. It is just thinking about Thanksgiving here in the United States. Thanksgiving's coming up in a couple weeks, and I had an idea for something I wanted to do that you might want to do, but may not have all the stuff you need to do. But you might want to do it for Thanksgiving anyway. But for today, all you're going to really need is something to do some lettering with, some writing. And remember, writing is drawing, and drawing is writing. So, well, drawing isn't necessarily writing, but writing is drawing, particularly when you're handwriting. So just whatever you have that might be fun to play with to do some lettering. It could just be a regular drawing pen. It could be some markers. Maybe you have some brush markers. Maybe you have a brush pen. Maybe you have just a watercolor brush and some watercolors that you want to work with. It could be anything. And some paper, of course, or maybe your sketchbook. So that's basically the idea for today. So start gathering that stuff if you don't have it immediately accessible, but it is going to be fun, and I really hope that you will join me in doing it and also join me in chatting about it. So, all right, so that is the plan for today. So I just want to remind you to subscribe to this channel so that I can remind you, particularly with the time change, remind you that we are meeting. So if you subscribe, just click the button and give it a thumbs up while you're at it. I feel like we're contractually obliged being on YouTube to say things like that, but subscription is helpful because even if you miss it, it will remind you of the recording that you can do whenever you want to. So that is all I have to demand of you today. So let's have a look at what we did last week. Last week we drew Tonys because we were working on toned paper, and we did a bunch of drawings of people and things named Tony. As it turned out, unliving things. Not necessarily dead, but unliving. Beautiful Tonys in all their different forms. I say this probably every week, but I just love seeing all the different interpretations of the same subject and the same images. And it was just great to see that you didn't let me down this week yet again, as you have for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, every week we have this incredible display of beautiful things that people have made. I will say that a couple of those Tonys looked a little bit like me. I don't know if that's what that says exactly, but I am not under indictment. And as far as I know, I have nobody gunning for me. You might hear some weird squeaking, growling, and biting sounds in the background. That's these 2 dogs behind me going nuts. I could kick them out, but I don't know. Maybe they'll start to draw as well. I see that Walter is here. Walter says he hasn't drawn anything in a week. So yes, I understand getting into a funk. You know, I've been in a funk for a while too. I guess funk is the word. I've just been, I don't know, I've had a rough month or two. I've been feeling, I don't know, just stuck. And in the last few days, the clouds have parted and I feel refreshed, renewed, and I have clarity about what it is I want to do. I've been at a crossroads of a bunch of things, and I've just been, I don't know, I've had a rough couple months. So I'm clear now, and Walter, I hope that you will be clear too today. Jen says it's also gray in Connecticut. Tombow marker number 95, cool gray, in fact. I get it. It's actually not. Here in Phoenix, it's gorgeous. It is, it's 62, but it's going up to 77, so it's beautiful today. Alex says, is it just me, or does everyone else's stream seem to start a few seconds in? Danny always seems to be mid-sentence. That's not an illusion. I actually start mid-sentence. It's a new thing I have. It seems to be working. But no, yes. I think I've done this new thing where we start and announce what we're going to do before we do it. I hope that that's still working, but maybe I'll take a minute or two to, I don't know, sip coffee or do stuff like that to just make sure that you are with me when we start. Alyssa has pulled out her 40-year-old Schaefer calligraphy pen, which just happens to be inked. Hopefully that ink is not 40 years old and hasn't been sitting in that pen for that long, but we will find out very soon whether that's the case. All right. I wanted to start with talking about our sponsor, Edding, because Edding is key to what I want to do today. So Edding, is a fantastic pen company, and they're a relatively new sponsor of ours. And I love it when we come up with new products that they've come out with that we can talk about. And this week, it is this set of porcelain brush pens. So the pens themselves aren't porcelain, but they're designed to be used on porcelain, which has all kinds of amazing applications that I've worked with a little bit before, but now recently, since I've had my creative rebirth the last few days, I've been going a bit nuts with these things, and I've been thinking about all kinds of stuff I want to do with it. And I've realized that lettering and calligraphy are key to what I'm doing. So that's part of the reason that I want to get into it. So Deb says she's using Edding brush pens that she just got sent from us. That's fantastic. And those are probably these, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But those are the ones that we just sent out were not the porcelain kind. So these brushes, they seem to function like regular brush pens. They're really juicy. You can get really fat lines and thin lines. But then what you do is you pop them into the oven. Well, you don't pop the pen into the oven. Do not do that because they're made of plastic. What you do is you take anything. You could take a little dish. You could take a cup. You could take a plate. You could take a Thanksgiving platter. And then you can draw and write on it with these pens. And then you pop it into the oven. What I did is I used the toaster oven. I got the toaster oven up to about 325 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 160 degrees Celsius. And then you pop your object in. You let it sit there for 25 minutes in the oven. You pop it out, and it is waterproof. You can pop it in the dishwasher. I think you can pop it in the dishwasher. I have. And it's permanent. So there's all kinds of cool things that you can do with that. And I'm going to continue thinking about this, the applications of this. So is Chris, who has never heard of these before. I'm sure most people haven't heard of them. They're pretty new product from a pretty new company to America. So if you would like to try these out, we're giving away 3 sets of them. They come in different types. There's just kind of a basic set like this, which is just basic colors. And then there is cool, and then there are warm. And we're giving away a set of the warm ones, 3 sets of the warm ones, in fact. And if you'd like to check them out, write to me and tell me what you're thinking. You can email me at DWM, which stands for Draw With Me, at sketchbookschool.com, and include your U.S. mailing address. It has to be a U.S. mailing address because we're sponsored by the U.S. division of Edding. And or you can write to us snail mail wise, which we will look at as well. You can send us anything you want there, and we'll be happy to look at it. So yes, so I'm going to be playing around with these, but I'm going to be talking about lettering today. So sometimes people say, you're sponsored by this and you have this product and you're giving it away. I hadn't realized that you were using it. And I'm like, oh no, of course I'm using it. I love using these products, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. So Walter's very interested in it. Walter, you know what to do. Write to us and let's check it out. So good. Titas. I like titas. I think that means, or tetas. I think that means teacup. And I love a good teacup, as you know. So it's nice to see you here from Germany. And yes, all right, good. Let us get on with it. Elizabeth says, if you're searching for them online, they're called porcelain brush pens, but of course they work on ceramic and glass. That's true. You can find them, and if you look at my list down below, there's a list with links to all the stuff that I use, so you can find that. So let's talk about lettering. So I love lettering. Here is an example of a book, the kind of book that I find in my library. I have lots of these kinds of things with just lots of examples of gorgeous, creative, hand-lettered stuff. I mean, if you're like me, you're salivating right now. I'm trying not to salivate into the mic, but gosh, there's just so much gorgeous stuff. Even though we live in a day of computers and mobile phones and stuff like that, and typing, there's also just so much beautiful new. This particular book is called Freehand, and it is. Just focus it. There it is. So love that book. It's really inspiring. This is another book by Andy J. Miller called Creative Pep Talk. And again, more examples of just interesting ways of using type to make images with, making exciting pages. And to me, this is really so important because I am an illustrated journaler. I hope you are too. As a sketchbook artist, using lettering, using type, is key to not just doing drawings, but recording your life and your observations and making the drawing itself merge with the writing, and the writing feel like it is visual art as well. So this book has a lot of stuff. Some of it's computer generated, is made on the computer. Here we have another artist who I really love, Sabrina Ward Harrison. This is an old book of hers, but just the way that she uses lettering and writing, in her journals and her sketchbook. It's, again, even if you don't draw, you can express yourself through your lettering. And it doesn't have to be perfect calligraphy, textbook calligraphy. It can just be an embellished version of your handwriting, So there's lots of beautiful examples. I mean, this book of Sabrina's, if you've never seen it before, called Spilling Open, it's probably 20 years old at this point, but I love this book. I love her. She's a great artist. This book also, The Crossroads of Should and Must. This is a different kind of approach where she does a lot of lettering. She does hand lettering, but then she also does a lot of this kind of thing, writing with watercolor, which I think is gorgeous. And so this book has got a lot of this where you can really express yourself through. Anyway, this is a great book, which is not only beautiful looking, but it also has a really powerful message about really freeing yourself as a creative person. Speaking of which, this book, The Creative License, is a book I wrote about giving yourself permission to be the artist you truly are. And it's full of, again, it's all written, in a version of my handwriting. But then there's also a lot of, maybe you have this book, but it has a lot of my handwriting in it. In fact, there's a section here called Remember Writing is Drawing, which is all about how we can use writing as a way of expressing ourselves. I mean, the lettering itself as a way of expressing ourselves, as well as the words too. So, so this is, doing this kind of thing in my books is something I've done all along. And So I got this set of these Edding markers, the ones that I used. Do you remember we drew movie candy a while ago? And I used these brush pens for that. And then I spoke to Edding and they said, it's great that you use those to draw with, but honestly, we made them kind of thinking that they would be for writing with, and sure enough, they are, of course, perfect for that. And they're just so squishy and, just because what you do is you can do a very fine line like this, and then you can fatten it up, and then you can thin it up again, so you get just a beautiful range. And you see people doing this kind of lettering. There are books on it. There are YouTube channels about it. And I used to think about those calligraphy pens, the chisel tips. I'm sure you've had those, seen those, that have basically a hard end that has a chisel tip. And I never liked those. And those were called kind of calligraphy markers. But this sort of species is quite different because of this way in which the brush is so juicy and flexible. And so you can really get, next to a dip pen, it's the only way that I know to get this kind of flexibility. So now I've been playing with these. I've been playing with these markers, and this is the set of 1340s. Those are the ones that we gave away, the ones not for porcelain. These are the ones for porcelain, okay? So let me just show you what I've been doing with them. Here's an example of, I bought these dishes at Goodwill, at the thrift store. I think these were 99 cents. So it's a ceramic dish, and I hand lettered this. And I did a little drawing. And then I popped it into the toaster oven, and now I have this thing. Yeah, here's the quote, Jean-Baptiste Alphonse Carr. We can grumble that roses have thorns, or rejoice that thorns have roses. I love that idea. I see some discussion about those books that I showed. I'm not sharing an actual list of them. I guess I could, but the last book I showed was my book called The Creative License. Here's another one that I made. So this is a pretty simple piece of lettering, but I tried to use, a nice family of colors, and I like the sentiment. And thinking again about Thanksgiving and gratitude, it's not joy that makes us grateful, it is gratitude that makes us joyful. And if you turn it over, I haven't written who the quote is from yet, but I'll share that quote with you, and we can have a go at lettering it ourselves. Possibly not on China, but there you have it. And here's a cup that I made. Give thanks for a little, and you will find a lot. That is a Hausa proverb. Hausa is an African tribe. But as you can see, this is just, again, this cup I bought for, I think, $1.49 at the Goodwill. And then when you finish drinking your whatever's in the cup, it says a lot inside. So again, give thanks for a little, and you will find a lot. And there, sure enough, inside you find a lot. So that is this project. That's the project that I'm working on. Nothing like the clatter of crockery instead of. So Alexandra asked, do the mugs have to be pure porcelain or can they be stoneware? I guess they could be stoneware. I don't know, honestly. On this description on the packaging, it says, for use on porcelain, glazed ceramic, oven-proof glass. And I think that that's as much because it's going to go in the oven when you kind of cook it. It says dishwasher safe after baking. So that answers that. No runs or drips. Colors will not run together. Quick drying, although corrections can still be made prior to baking. And that's a cool thing that I found is, and I'll show you, you can be writing on porcelain and then you can say, you can wipe it off and it's gone and then you can fix it. So that means that you don't lose your mind if you have this beautiful piece of porcelain that you think you've just ruined. You haven't, because you can just wash it. Then you let it sit. After about 15 minutes, it's kind of set. And then you pop it in the oven. And, so literally you could go from a plain blank plate to a beautiful piece of art in like an hour. I really love it. So I have here a few plates and such that I'm going to work on today. But you don't have to worry about that. You can not, obviously you don't have to draw on plates, and you won't because you don't probably have these markers yet. But I put in a few quotes here, and I thought they were all really nice for Thanksgiving, thinking about Thanksgiving. If you wanted to, maybe you want to make a Thanksgiving card or something like that you could send out. Or you want to rush out and get these markers. You could be sitting there on Thanksgiving morning. You could write people's names on the plates, and then you could throw them in the oven and have them ready for dinner. You could draw, you could write or draw the names of, stuffing and turkey and whatever onto the platter. So I think there's a lot of fun stuff that you can work with. Diane says, as long as it's safe in the oven, yeah, it is. I mean, that's what it's designed for. So I'm assuming that it is. It is oven safe. It is food safe, I think. I haven't seen any indication that it's not. And again, that does seem to be the purpose of it. Let me just read it again. It says creamy, quick drying, dishwasher safe. So I think that means food safe. It certainly doesn't have lead in it as far as I can tell. I think that's the thing that makes it so. All right. Ina says, wait, we're writing on plates. Well, you can write on a plate if you want to, or you can write on a piece of paper. The idea is, let me be clear. Let me come back here and talk to you. What we're going to do today is we're going to take some beautiful quotes about gratitude and we're going to hand letter them. I'm going to be doing them on plates using these markers. Obviously, you don't have to do that. You can do them you can write them any way you want, any place you want. This is just fun and an experiment. So, all right? Good. So let's look at these quotes. Give thanks for a little and you'll find a lot. I showed you that one on the Hausa proverb. This one by Alphonse Carr I think is nice too. We can grumble that roses have thorns, or rejoice that thorns have roses. And I drew little roses there. This one from David Steindl-Rast, who is sort of I think he's like a Buddhist thinker. It's not joy that makes us grateful, it's gratitude that makes us joyful. And then this quote from Maya Angelou, which I haven't done yet, which is, when we give cheerfully and accept gratefully, everyone is blessed. So, all right. Kelly says you can practice on paper plates. It's true. That's a good idea. Good solution. So let's pick one. I wouldn't mind trying my hand at doing this. Give thanks for little, and you will find a lot. Try that again. But if you want to do one of these others, if you want to do a quick screen grab of all of them, you can do that. Please go ahead. Do a screen grab. I'll be bringing these back as we work, but for now, I think I'm going to focus on the top one, and I'm going to just show you I'm going to kind of repeat myself and do the one that I did before again, just because it was rewarding to do it that way. So, one thing that you can think about when you're doing this is you might say to yourself, how do I make sure that how do I space out these letters? How do I make sure that, like, for instance, what I want to do is I want to fill this whole bottom of the plate. And what you can do is you can just take a pencil and you can just do a sketch of where you want it to go. And in fact, when I do it on this porcelain, I can draw with a pencil. And then when I use these porcelain markers, I leave the pencil there. When it comes out of the oven, the pencil just washes off. It's just like pencil on a plate. It doesn't need to. It's not baked in. So I can just do it as a thing. But I can just look at this and I can say, all right, let's see. But maybe what I'm going to do. I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to just knock it out. Oh, actually, that wasn't the one that I did before. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to change this. If you started, don't kill me, but I'm going to do this one. Okay? It's not joy that makes us grateful. It's gratitude that makes us joyful. And you can see what I did here is I said it's not big word joy that makes us kind of big word grateful and then biggish word joyful. But I think I want to emphasize that even more maybe on this next one. I also, as you can see, I made each line a different color, but they're all kind of within the same family of colors. And that's kind of it. I mean, I just did this freehand. So Alexander says I'd probably space it out on tracing paper, lay it over and check it first. Danny is more confident and adventurous. It's true, or I'm just, too lazy. But I think that if you take your time and you just think about it, and you can adjust as you're going. You can adjust and you can say, I'm running out of space. Maybe I'll make these letters bigger or smaller. There's all kinds of things that you can do. But I think the key thing is to just feel in the flow. Feel in the flow, okay? So I'm going to just start here with this thing. Let me just get it into the center of the screen here. So it is not joy. I'm going to change it to it's not joy. I want to have some variety in my lines here. What if I go around? Ooh, that's a kind of a cool idea. All right, I'm going to see if I can do this. I just thought of it. I haven't planned it. It could be a disaster. Chuck's Tube, coming from Mesa, Arizona. Chuck's Tube, I'm in Phoenix, so we are neighbors. Howdy, and welcome to Draw With Me. Okay, it's not. Put a little dot in the middle of that. Oh, just because I like it. And this is exactly the kind of project where I will start doing it and then I'll suddenly go, oh no, I left a word out. It happens, and be prepared. Well, don't be prepared. You can't be prepared to make a mistake, but you can be prepared to deal with it if it comes up. By breathing deeply and just carrying on, as they say. All right, it is not joy. This is a little nerve-wracking because I'm like, I don't know where this is going to go. That. See how juicy these are? So nice. And you can go back over it. What you can do is if you feel like they need to be darkened, you can also wait for it to dry a bit and then you can go back over it because it's right now it's still completely wet, which means if I wanted to just take a cloth and wipe it off, I could. Let's keep turning it. Let's see, how about pink? So, honestly, I have to say the more I have been drawing over the years of drawing, the more it's improved my lettering. When I was a kid, I was repeatedly told that I had horrible handwriting. But I found that drawing has improved my handwriting so much because I'm just more confident making lines. And that has just helped my handwriting. And because I'm making each word in a different color, it allows me to space them kind of closer to each other than I might otherwise, so they're not kind of flowing into each other. All right, so now I've got to do the word grateful, and I want to make that, maybe I should do that in a different kind of color? No. I want to stay within this warm range of colors. But I think I'll just make it bigger. Ooh, and you see I'm kind of creeping up onto the rim of the plate, which is not exactly what I wanted to do. Because I have to curve down here. So I'm going to have to figure out, how do I do this creatively? See, each of these letters I'm trying to make a little different from each other. You know, this isn't just straight handwriting. I'm trying to make it an embellishment. So, okay, I managed to turn that corner. Right, so you can see what I do is I vary. Sometimes they're uppercase in the middle of a word. Sometimes they're lowercase. It doesn't really matter. It's all legible. Now I have to decide, do I want to put in a semicolon? Oh, why not? And see, I was concerned about this because I thought, how am I going to introduce the beginning of this sentence? Like, how do you know that you start reading it there? Well, I have a little bit of an indentation there. It's a little bit of an indentation. So, and this is darker, so therefore your eye kind of will go to that. But honestly, in the end, who cares really if you read it or don't read it? I think the main thing is that it looks nice, and then you might look at it for a second. You might say, what does this actually say? You know who's a master of really beautiful lettering is the whole Islamic tradition, because in Islam you're not really supposed to make images of living people or of people in general. So they have just been so creative about developing gorgeous calligraphy and covering buildings with it. It's just it's very inspiring to look at, even if you don't understand what it means. All right, so now let's see the word. Bring in the word gratitude here. Maybe I'll do it in pink. I also think about like how letters can kind of interlock with each other. So like here, the top of the R is here, the tail comes down here. So then I made the first stroke of that A kind of come in there. And now I have to deal with a T, you know, so I'm going to do it in there. Maybe give it a thin little crossbar. And then the I. And now I have a little bit of space in there, so I'm going to fill that with a dot. I also have to be careful now because this ink is still wet, and as I'm spiraling around, I don't want to smudge the inner circle or the outer circle. Okay, it's not joy that makes us grateful. It is gratitude. Okay, I haven't screwed it up yet. It is gratitude. I am very grateful. I'm just feeling grateful in general. As I said, I'm feeling like good. I'm feeling like I've made a transition. I'm looking forward to doing stuff. I'm not feeling hesitant. I'm not feeling lost, which I frankly was feeling lost. Just feeling like I just didn't know what the hell I was going to be doing creatively. And now I feel good. I feel like I'm back on the path. Okay, so I'm starting to think about the final destination. No, I'm not talking about death. What the hell? No, I'm talking about how this spiral is going to conclude. That makes us. So should I continue the spiral, us joyful, or I could try and work in the writer's name, but I don't think that's important. I'll put that on the bottom of the plate. I think I'm going to have to figure out some kind of cool way to make joyful. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do joyful in a series of different colors. Okay, so there's the spiral. Now, what do I do? What should I do with this little part in the middle here? What should I do? I think I should have a sip of coffee. I'm now seeing your suggestions. Alexander says maybe a decorative design to fill the very center space. Yes, that's kind of like what I did with the rose that I showed you before. I drew a little rose in the middle there. What if I made the author's name very small? Or what if I put a quote mark there? I could put a quote here, and I could put a quote there. Or I could write the author's name very small in black. Smiley face, Stuart. Several of you are saying draw a spiral. All right, so let's say I drew a spiral. Okay, let's try this. I I could draw a spiral. I was going to do it in black, but that would definitely be a mistake. It's way too heavy. I could draw a spiral that just kind of continues. That's nice. I like it. It worked. Rita says, I'm lettering the quote, "The land knows you even when you are lost," from Robin Wall Kimmerer. No spiral, going to draw a landscape underneath the quote. Very nice. Good. Okay, well, I think that worked out. Dorothy suggested the initials of the author, DSR. Yeah, I don't know if he's famous enough for that, but I think it worked out. And Stuart seems to think so, and so does Wendy. So, all right, good. So that's a piece. This is going to pop in the oven, and I will eat my lunch on it. Let's try something else. Oh, yeah, so now we have, look, now we have these two versions. Two versions of the same quote. What I might do is I might let this one dry a little bit and then go back in and just, like, some of the pink is a little lighter. But I think that those two look nice. You could make a whole dinner set using this technique. All right, now I happen to have a square plate here. So, all right, well, thank you all who liked it. And I'm sure the rest of you are just mute with admiration. All right, so let me just show you one thing. So this particular plate has a little bit of, because again, it's a thrift store plate, it's a little bit dented. But see, the cool thing about this, as I said, so say I did that, right? Then I can just take, here's kind of a wet cloth. You know, and it's gone. So I don't have to worry about that part of it. And then, as I said, I can take a pencil and I can draw, you know, like say I wanted to draw a square within this. Maybe that's what I'll do here. I'll draw a square and I'll letter the stuff like really fine inside there. All right, I'm going to change this quote. This one from Maya Angelou I quite liked here. So maybe that will be the quote here. Yes. Jen suggests a series of selfie plates. Eat off my face. We'll see. Rita says she doesn't have an oven. Well, as I said, I use the toaster oven. So maybe while you're at the thrift store picking up china, pick up a toaster oven. They're usually sitting there for a couple of bucks. As long as you can get it up to over 300 degrees, it should be fine. So, yes. Some of you are talking about making Christmas gifts out of this. I think it's so nice, right? I mean, imagine if you went to somebody's house for dinner, you had a nice conversation, somebody made a joke, and then the next day you gave them like a mug with that joke written on the mug. I mean, really cool things that you can do with this. So, all right, so I've got this quote. When we give cheerfully and accept gratefully, everyone is blessed. So I think I'm going to try and letter this really tightly inside here. Let me just grab a piece of paper. Because this is a bit more of a so my box is about that size, right? Let's just say roughly it's that size. And so let me just figure out the lettering. So I might say, when we give cheerfully and accept. I have to figure out how to space that. Gratefully every one is blessed. And then maybe I could write Maya Angelou. So something like that. Maybe I'll put in some quotes. But I kind of like the word, like we're cheerfully, gratefully, and blessed would maybe be bigger. And maybe what I'll do is I will letter the in between lines in black and letter the big words in some kind of a cool color or different colors. Hey, look, I still got a little bit of schmutz on this plate. But yeah, did I get some red on my hand? Let me just clean this plate a bit better. Oh, I see. There's a lot of schmutz on that. Schmutz is a technical term. Don't worry if you don't know it. You learn it if you have a PhD in art, which I don't have, actually. I'm joking. Yes, there's the schmutz is basically gone. So, yeah, because I just don't want to have like a little bit of pink there. But I'm not really worried. Whoops. I'm not really worried about this. But I am going to make some lines. Where should I put that grid? Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. But I want to make sure that these, some of them are narrower, some of them are wider. All right. This is not particularly helpful to me, but it's somewhat of a guide, having those things there, right? Here we go. Deafening silence. Because I'm doing it smaller, I'm feeling like I need to be more careful. All right, so there we have it. Now I'm going to switch to, now I could do it in color. I could do like 3 primaries. I don't think this yellow is going to stand out enough though. I think I'll just stick to what's working, which is doing reds and browns, because it's, you know, autumnal sort of thing. But let's just make sure that these colors are pretty different from each other. So I think I have a, yeah. So sort of a bright red, a muted red, and a thing. Maybe an orange. All right, so I think I'll do that. So when we give cheerfully, a little worried that this word is a bit fatter than I thought. No, I think I can fit it in. See, I kind of wedged that last. I made a very optimistic C and H, and by the time I got to the L's and the Y's, They were kind of cramped, but I could wipe the whole thing off, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I'm going to live with it. I'm going to accept gratefully. Now I have to stretch this word out because I want to make it sort of justified so that I'll reach the other side with these letters. Okay. Again, a smart man would have hand lettered this whole thing, lettered it all out and spaced it. But you're not dealing with a smart man here. You're dealing with somebody who's rash. And so let's just do this. So let's look at the word gratefully and cheerfully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 letters. Generally pretty fat letters. C-H-E-E-R. They're all fat as opposed to like an I or something. So I can base it on this, but I can try and avoid the mistake that I made with cheerfully by being a little less generous with my spacing. You know, it's not a good idea to do this very delicate stuff if you've had a lot of coffee. I'm just noticing my hand has an ever so slight tremor to it from being up too early, drinking too much coffee, being excited about draw with me. All right, well, despite my attempt to space it accurately, I'm back to having these L's kind of squeezed in here. But there we go. Back to the black, back in black, everyone is blessed. I have a bit of room here. I can stretch out a little bit. This E can stretch. I can put some serifs on this N. I think I'm going to make kind of like an italic type of is. Everyone is blessed. So blessed is 2, 4, 6, 7 letters. So I have to be careful there. I think I'm going to go with orange, on orange blessed. But I can stretch it out now. I can do a bit more with the word blessed. Don't want to do too much because I can always stretch out my D at the end. Or I can stretch out this S. See that D? I can make it nice and long and put it in a period. So it fit. It worked. All right. And then finally, I want to write in Maya Angelou at the bottom. And I think I'll just try a different color here. You holding your breath? I am. All right, there we go. I'm reasonably pleased with that. So yeah, so we have like a full set of china now. Full set of china. See this? Once I fire that thing, and then those pencil goes. It's pretty good. It's a little wonky. And got the spiral. Again, you can see it's wonky. The whole thing needs to shift over. Do it in Photoshop. Yeah. Well, fortunately, Deb is concerned that I'm running out of time. I know, I have 4 minutes to go, but I am at it. I did manage to bring it in. Alexander says, hand-lettered imperfection is more appealing than mechanically printed evenness. Yes. And I got this. Imagine what I can do with this. Won't fit in my toaster oven though. So, that's our show. Let's just go to the end because I don't want to get in trouble because JJ's not here. So, if you'd like to check out these porcelain markers, write to us at drawwithme@sketchbookskool.com and send us your U.S. mailing address. You can also just buy yourself a set if you like. There's a link below that will take you to where you can buy them if you look at Danny's toolkit. I would love to see what you did with your lettering. Hopefully you weren't too mesmerized by my high wire act to do your own lettering, but please share it on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, or in the schoolyard, and tag it, #SBSDrawWithMe, and then we can make a little gallery of them next time we meet, which will be next Thursday at 9 o'clock Pacific. I write an essay every week. Danny'sEssays.com is where you can sign up for it for free. I have a really good one this week that I think you're really going to enjoy. So make sure you subscribe. And that's about the size.